Hi guys, welcome to this video where we're going to learn how to paint a meadow in watercolors. I'm using Arches 140 pound cold pressed watercolor paper, Holbein watercolors, and some round brushes, a flat brush, and a liner brush, which is like a round brush with very long bristles, and it's really useful for painting landscapes. So the sketch is really simple, just like a straight line and some mountains. I really recommend using cotton paper if you can, but if not, just use what you have. So I'm just mixing up some paint with water, and I am gonna go in and wet the sky area so that I can do the wet on wet technique, which is just where you wet the paper and you go in with that wet brush and paint, and when the paint hits the water it disperses, but it doesn't go past where you put the water, because the end, like the edge of the water, acts as a wall, because watercolor, it like activates with water and it doesn't go past it, so just keep that in mind. And I'm going with blue and kind of some purple, and to mix my grays I use a dark blue and a dark brown. I highly recommend mixing your own blacks and grays because too black can be very opaque and kind of dull and lifeless, so there are a lot of ways to mix blacks. One of them is to do this, or you can mix equal parts red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors. And yeah, that's just something that I like to do and that I would recommend. So now I'm going in and I'm wetting the grass area, and I'm gonna go in with my liner brush. And you don't need a liner brush to paint landscapes. I just think they're really useful because you can they hold more paint and water, and they're really good for like painting like grass like we're gonna paint today, or kind of a lot of things you'd find in landscapes. So I'm going in wet on wet with yellow. I'm going to go in with purple and blue as well to just create kind of the look of flowers. It's not very detailed. It's not detailed in the reference photo either. It's just like a meadow or a field of flowers. So I'm just going to do that, and then I actually dry the layer with a blow dryer, but yeah, just because I'm impatient. And I'm doing another layer right now on the sky, and keep in mind that like sometimes wood pulp paper, like the paper that's made from trees, doesn't layer very well, and that's why I recommend using cotton paper if you can, right? I know it's expensive, but if you can only invest in one if you can only invest in one better quality watercolor supply, I would go with the best paper you can buy, because it makes a huge difference in layering and you can work it a lot more, and for me it's just a much more pleasant painting experience. I like Arches the best, but there are other papers. That is by no means the only good one. So yeah, I'm just going in and I finished the sky for now, and I'm gonna do another layer down where the grass is, and I will add more flowers and then kind of start adding that green for the grass. So now I'm going in with a round medium-sized brush to add green grass, and yeah, then I'm just gonna start painting the mountains. I'm gonna do the mountains wet on dry, which is just where you leave the paper dry and you go in with your paint and just paint on the dry paper. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding individual blades of grass, which is really easy to do because the liner brush is so long. It's not impossible to do with like a small round brush. It just takes a long time, and in my experience, you kind of can't go. It's not as like fluid, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. So if you don't have a liner brush, they're also called rigger brushes. Don't feel like you can't paint landscapes. So now I'm going in and I'm kind of defining the flower more with my defining the flowers more with this liner brush. Just going in and just adding kind of wet on dry, just like making them stand out more, and you can tell more, and I think you can tell that they're flowers kind of more easily now. So I'm really building up the flowers as I go, going again from light to dark. You can't really go lighter once you go darker, so that's why it's so important. When in doubt, go lighter, is what I always say. So now I'm going in and with the round brush and the liner brush, adding kind of patches of green and going in and making individual blades of grass. So now what I'm doing is I'm going in with something called white gouache, which in its simplest form is an opaque watercolor, and I'm adding those white flowers over the watercolor. We can't really use white watercolor, but we can use white gouache because it's opaque to add highlights. But you don't have to do this. You can even use a masking fluid, which is like a liquid latex that preserves the white of the paper, to add white flowers, or You don't have to add white flowers at all. That's totally optional. And I'm just going in and I'm mixing that white gouache with some watercolor just to add some blades of grass that are kind of opaque into the over the transparent watercolor. And you really don't have to do this. Some people don't like using gouache or opaque mediums with watercolor at all, and that's completely fine. I try to use it kind of minimally, but I do go in occasionally depending on the painting with some white gouache. So now I'm just working on the mountains, wet on dry, and I'm not worrying so much about details or anything. This is more like of a loose landscape. And yeah, just go for it and have fun. And I added a third layer to the sky, even though it really wasn't necessary. I don't know, I guess just in the moment, I felt like I wanted more color, but I really didn't need it. So just go in with however much color you feel is like feel it out on your own. Go in with however much color feels right to you. And now I am just going to finish up the mountain, and I'm going to take my tape off in just a second, and that'll be it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. I post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. If you liked it, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!